And I'm a physician with WHO. I'm do coordination role in cross-border operations in Syria. But as well, I'm a student of the Level. I decided to do a master in public health, and that's why he invited me over. So, and although I'm not in the program, the last day I learned there are so many characteristics that we can apply in the same way, or we follow in more or less the methodology. I do have a heavy accent, so don't hesitate to say slow down, and probably repeat. Don't worry about it. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Let's do this quickly. Okay, go a little bit higher, please. This is in general, although we have talked about it, some of you. Turkey, the project that we do in Turkey is a very complex emergency situation. Okay, Turkey is being divided, fragmented. I mean, Turkey, Syria. Syria has been fragmented in several geographical areas. We're not talking about geopolitics right there here. That's not the purpose of to give you an understanding. So there was a UN resolution 2449 that just passed again in December of 2018, but it's been for several years, which entitled the humanitarian community to support the Syrian people from cross-border operation from the countries that surround it. I mean, from Turkey, from Lebanon, from Iran, from Oman. Okay, so that allows the UN, using implementing partners NGO, to support. So what we're trying to here, because what we're talking about is migrants. We got two types of mainly migrants in the situation. The internal ones, which we call IDPs, and the external ones that we call the refugees. So although my job is mainly the IDPs, that's my mainly coordination role, my organization works with the refugees as well. And that's the part that I will concentrate, but I want you to see a few pictures. Next slide, please. So this is per se Syria at the moment. The big area is what we call the Northwest. It's controlled by the non-governing areas. The blue, oh, come down, please. The previous one. The previous, yeah, it's in this one. The blue one is controlled actually by the Turkish military at the moment. And the yellow one is still the area that's called the Northeast, where you have the residual of ISIL still combating, etc. So next slide, please. This is what you've been seeing in the news, including today. I have two hospitals, one paramedic killed, one ambulance destroyed. So the last non-GOS, non-government of Syria area that is still under control of not the government is mainly Idlib. So Idlib, Aleppo, as I said, the blue sign was Turkey, of course at the border of Turkey, which is about 30 to 50 kilometers from the border of Turkey. Turkey actually have control of that territory. So at the moment, in the last few weeks, 330,000 people have moved furthermore within Idlib, within the geographical area. The cross-border to refugee have decreased significantly, mainly is medical transfer, trauma, etc. Okay, next slide, please. So again, my job, this is just some headings. And normally I publish this every month. I'm working in this month on delay. But you got 13.2 million at the moment people in need of medical health. That's it within Syria. There are 2.9 people only in the area that we're covering from cross-border Turkey. The total population is estimated to be about 3.8 to 4 million. So from those, when we do a severity scale, who needs more? Almost 99% of those people are in high severity needs. So all the Northwest is really significant compared to the Northeast or compared from Damascus support on the South, like Quneitra that was supported before from Jordan. As you see, you have 3.7 million Syrian refugees in Turkey. Next slide, please. This is this morning. That's one of the complex situations. Within Syria, as of today, more than 50 health facilities have been attacked. And what I mean, and at the moment I have 36 non-functioning. And you say, where is the facility? No, what I'm talking about is hundreds of thousands of people which are not receiving medical care, which comes with the other one. So where the people go? They need to be transferred. So mainly the refugees that we're receiving at the moment, because again, Turkey is trying to strengthen that border with medical supply, but the capacity is not there yet. They finish being refugees in medical evacuations. Next slide, please. Okay, this is really my cluster partners do a lot. We have many NGOs, we have over 100 partners I have. For example, just to give you an idea, within Syria, we do 1 million consultations of patients a month. Okay, so there's many services provided, but it's still not enough. There's still gaps. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so why Turkey? First, the crisis is in Syria, but geographically and politically, it's strategic. What is Turkey wants to be part of Europe, so it's part of so the access is through Turkey. That's been the main goal. So, next slide, please. This is what I mentioned to you. This is more or less what we stand about regarding the refugees in Syria. You're going to have the presentation. I mean, they a Dropbox or a linkage, so everybody will have access. So you're talking about 3.6. This is up to a few weeks ago. By the way, I do not know the figures today. We have IOM colleagues are here. We have what we call a CCM cluster coordination that do camp management, but also they have a tracking system, which almost at least on weekly or every 2 weeks, we get updates how many movement happens within the IDPs and as well move out of the country. Next slide, please. So this is the situation. So what are we doing? And this is the comment that Dr. Professor Emil told you was coming. The darker areas is where the major concentration of refugees. So you're talking about Gaziantep, you're talking about Mersin's over here. This is Hatay, Sialurfa, Gaziantep, Istanbul. So there are mainly 7 provinces in Turkey that have received a major population group. But still, 500,000. The same thing in Sialurfa, almost 500,000. The same thing in Turkey, which is heading with over 500,000 people within Istanbul. So the situation is critical. Next, please. Again, this is the main 7 ones. And what I mentioned is this because this is with the interventions that we did from the health point of view in those, and this is the project that we are trying to explain to you today. Next, please. Okay, so what WHO, again, this is my agency, not me in particular. I work with the IDPs, but as Dr. Toju invited me, we had this presentation as part of the class, so I'm trying to share with you guys what we did. So WHO, in coordination with the European Union and other colleagues, said, wait a minute, what the people that come in refugees, what we talked yesterday and before, what is the main problem? Language. Yes, Turkish border, but they don't communicate. I mean, Turkish is really limited English. It's really completely different than Arabic. Yes, they have Arabic word, by the way, don't misunderstanding, but there is not understanding. Turkish language is quite unique, so it's quite difficult. So, WHO what it does is they met with, this is a long process. By the way, the crisis in Syria has been 8 years. So it's not like it started yesterday. It's nothing happened one day after the other. So it's like, okay, we're receiving refugees. And we're establishing refugee centers. And there is areas of concentration that when people are moving. But also in those refugees are doctors and nurses, are community health workers. How we can do, so it was a process, and the idea of the project is they integrate, no integration, let me be careful, adaptation. So it's an adaptation into the Syrian doctors and nurses within the Turkish system to treat their own people, but as well they have opportunity. So WHO identified those major concentration areas, mainly 7 locations for step. Over 1,200 doctors have been already training, and nurses. Next slides. Oh wait, before you pass, I'm sorry. The main issues addressed have been psychosocial psychological assistance, mental health, LGBT, is being a protection, prevention. So it's the main, we're not talking about everything in general, is more difficult, but I live concentrating in areas that are priorities, not only in protection, but that the most common needs in the IDP, in the refugees. Next slide, please. So this has been worked with the Ministry of Family, of course the Ministry of Health of Turkey, universities, and there are NGOs as well in Turkey supporting this initiative, this project. Next, please. 2 points here, and this is how it happened. Turkey has been extremely supportive of the Syrian people in terms of legality. Turkish a Syrian person can get citizenship within 6 months. Let me put it that way. I don't sure no other country you can get citizenship nowhere within that period of time. Okay? So, but that means as well, they have facilitated, in this case, nursing and doctor, to acquire those skills at least to make it working for their own people. Okay? So there are 2 laws there, just as a reference, that they allow that, and they get this permit to be able to work. Next slide, please. So, again, using the proper word in the immigration term, adaptation. Okay? So, at the moment, those modules developed, those guidelines, but looking at the amount of people that have been theoretically, and the courses are 6 weeks in theoretical, but also with practice. And you will see in the next coming slide, including language, which is one of the top ones, although they're going to work from Syria, but they need to be trained by Turkish doctors. I mean, and this is the main, as well, this training and workshop, including translators. So it was a component of translators, nurses, doctors, the university. So it's been a long process to get where we are today. It's not there yet. I mean, there's still another step forward, but it's working so far. It's working good. Let me put it that way. So you have over 1,200 doctors. You have involved being trained. You got over 1,000 nurses, and you will see also as well we have community health workers, and that's one of the way to involve the community, because the point is not everybody, not all the majority of the refugees are not in camps. They live in host communities. So you need to reach them. Okay, you need to go to them. You need to say, this is, and by the way, don't misunderstand me. The health system in Syria before, it was one of the best developed systems. But that was what? More than 8 years ago. So 8 years ago, yes, today is completely disrupted. I mean, excluding Damascus, including, of course, the areas that have been. So 3 years ago, polio. To give you a reality check. Only 3 countries in the world have polio. Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Nigeria. We have an outbreak of polio 3 years ago inside Syria. It was identified, by the way, from Turkey, from the Northwest, from one of my colleagues, one of my NGOs. And we were able to control and respond. But that means it's polio, which is a global initiative. And it's not being addressed. Basically. So EPI, vaccinations, levels are, this year, we've been battling a long process of a year of cases of measles. Measles compared from last year, there were over 32,000 cases of measles. This year, after several campaigns, the last figure we have is within the hundreds. So, but it took, doesn't mean it's out, because one case is still an outbreak, but compared to, so all the partners together, which is the biggest system, have been able. What I'm trying to say, the system is disrupted, the facilities, the attacking in a structure, that drainage, brain drainage as well. Why the doctors, we have many doctors now in Syria, all out of the country. So we are working with a workforce within Syria, less than 40% of the original. So it's a multifactorial combination. Next, please. So as I mentioned, then these doctors, nurses, that have been trained, then there is over 176 primary health centers. For example, in Gaziantep, we got 2. One is supported by this initiative, the other is by another initiative from the European Union. But both those doctors then back to the communities, 2 centers, primary healthcare centers, designated by refugees. Why? But it's designated by refugees not because only for, it's just because they will have a source of communication. They will feel like they can talk to someone. So those doctors have been selected and sent to those camps. I mean, to those PHCs, primary health centers. Next, and okay, this is the second component. The community health support, community health workers network. At the moment, again, over 400. This is an ongoing, more than needed, as I mentioned, is host communities. So when they're in host communities, it's a bit more difficult. Although, again, people goes when they have other people that they know. The crisis has been a year. There, you come to me, I take you where you are. So it's a balance where people go to access those services. The other family, neighbors, they already know how to do it. Okay? Next, please. And the topic you see in the first area, as I said, you have communication, and that's language. So you're talking about, you got disabilities, you got mental health, you have aging, disabled, and many of the community health workers or that health, auxiliary health support is also for home care. So they've been able to go to disabled people, and it's more like to facilitate it for chronic diseases, disabled people to support them. So it's not only to say these are services, but they have a double purpose. Giving that, as I say, more like I would not say physical therapy per se, but it's an auxiliary health support to those people in need. Okay? Okay, you see, I told you. Next, please. Okay, well, this is just examples, people in supporting. Next. Again, this is the center. By the way, from the total of community health workers, it's about 2.3 million coverage. So that's, 64% of the population, of the refugee population, based in proportionality. Next, please. Important for this year, we started mental health. And I know Catalina was asking me about that. So there's still a program that will move forward. Mental health within Syria is a disaster, meaning, let me put it that way, one psychiatry for 4 million people. One hospital without no supply that we just now, within the last year I've been there, is we will prioritize it and trying to improve it. So then, if you move from that environment, you see, going to Turkey, that you didn't have any support, the load will be PTSD, etc. Next, please. Next, please. We can continue, please. Next. 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 Okay, this is a sample from refugees. Up to 1 million consultations have been able to be reached at the moment in health services. And that's being, from the doctors and the nurses, etc. And this is by location. Next, please. Okay, and this is the next steps. And this is, the presentation, there was a longer one. There's that you will receive. There's one with NDGs, explain a little bit more. But the next step, if you see, we have done prevention, promotion, curative, ID. What is next? Or furthermore, rehabilitation and support. And I include both, not only physical disabilities, but mental. So that's the next step to the new program that they were looking forward to increase, not to increase. Within Syria, we have produced, because the lack of human resources, doctors and nurses, it's called Mental Health Gap, which is straight and first aid support. That's a program for capacity of auxiliary staff and as well as community to identify and be able to respect first psychosocial needs, PFA, psychosocial first aid, and then try to do, we have established a referral mechanism. There's a 100 number for staff and people to call. We always have a psychiatrist at least on call in that regard. So there's many things ongoing. It need to be improved as always, but this is the plan. And I think that's it. Next. Because I'm very fast. Yes, next. The last one. Okay, thank you in your 7 languages.